Though today's cricketing generation favors T20 and ODI matches over tests, Test cricket is undoubtedly the ultimate and classic form of cricket. There have been only a few people who have succeeded in that format. One of them is Rahul Dravid. Till he takes guard, he is a human. But if he takes guard, he transforms into a barricade between the bowler and the stumps. Though he is known to the world as the Wall or the Great Wall of India, for me he is not just a wall, but an entire fortress who can stay still even during the worst of times. His perseverance and patience on the field is so much that Steve Waugh commented on him trying to take his wicket before he settles down, or else you only have to take the remaining 10 wickets. You can even dismiss Sachin, Ganguly, or Sehwag, but you can't dismiss Rahul Dravid so easily. Has been part of 88 100-plus partnerships, has seen 453 wickets fall while standing on the other side of the crease in Test cricket, has faced 31,258 balls in Test cricket, has the most catches in Tests which is 210. Spent 735 hours and 52 minutes which is 30.667 days on the field for the nation during his illustrious career. His defensive and classy shots are enough to glue the eyes of few people on the television screen. But, it is not just because of his cricket skills I like him. I like him for his patience, patriotism, selflessness and discipline. A complete team man who did everything for the nation. He didn't like to open the innings, yet he did it. He didn't like wicket keeping, yet he did it. Even in the toughest of pitches, he would open and give confidence to all other 10 batsmen. Let's look at the motivational life story of this wolf which lived and fought for his pack. Without further ado, let's begin the video. Our story begins on January 11, 1973 in the city of Indore in Madhya Pradesh where a worker of a jam-making factory named Rahul Dravid and an architecture professor named Pushpa Dravid gave birth to a beautiful boy whom they named Rahul Dravid. Rahul Dravid moved to Bangalore soon after his birth and spent his childhood there. Being born to educated parents, he was extremely good at studies. Apart from being a brilliant kid, he also was well disciplined. But apart from studies, he had a hobby. It was playing field hockey. Just like how he excelled in studies, he also excelled in hockey and took the game to the Karnataka state team. But once, he was asked to play cricket with his friends. And the moment he touched the bat, he never wanted to leave the bat down. He loved batting for how long time it takes. It didn't matter how aggressive he scores runs, but the time spent on the crease was more important in his eyes. Since that game, he switched his focus into cricket and was blasting off bowlers in the under-15, under-17 and under-19 team of his college. But did you think he left his studies to focus on his game? Well, he didn't. He held a bachelor degree in commerce and while doing BCom, there was a state-level cricket camp in his college featuring an ex-India cricketer named Kaki Tarapur. After being impressed by Dravid, Tarapur recommended Rahul Dravid in Karnataka Ranji team. He made his Ranji debut in February 1991 while still attending college. In that match against Maharashtra in Pune, he came to bat as the 7th batsman of his team and scored 82 runs in the match and followed it up with an outstanding century against Bengal and 3 successive centuries after that. After few monumental seasons, he also played well in Duleep Trophy. Exactly at this period, the Indian middle order was struggling as the batsmen were either towards the end of their careers or were not in form. This poor middle order of the Indian team and his brilliant domestic season opened the doors of the national team to Rahul Dravid as a lower middle order batsman. He made his international and ODI debut on 3 April 1996 against Sri Lanka in the Singer Cup held in Singapore. Dravid wasn't impressive with the bat that game as he was dismissed for just 3 runs. But took 2 catches in the match to prove his mettle. This was followed up with another failure in the following game against Pakistan where he was dismissed for just 4 runs. Though his ODI beginning wasn't good enough, in contrast to it, his Test debut was a successful one. He made his Test debut at Lord's on June 20, 1996 against England in the second Test, where he along with Sourav Ganguly made their debuts together. In that game, when all other batsmen had failed with the bat, the two debutants played a fighting knock, with Ganguly scoring 131 and Dravid scoring 95 and prevented a loss at the last moment. Though Dravid fell just 5 runs short of his maiden century in his debut match, his knock was overshadowed by Ganguly's 131. Still, Dravid didn't care about it, as he played for his nation, not for his name. And in his following Test career, his performances were amazingly good for Test cricket. But, he had contrasting fortunes in the long and the shorter format of the game. While he straightaway made a name for himself in Test cricket, he struggled to make a mark in ODIs. He also fell victim to media who criticized his slow Test-like batting in ODI matches and his inefficiency in limited overs cricket. But soon, Dravid proved himself in the ODI circuit through several knocks. His ODI renaissance began during the 1998-99 New Zealand tour, where he scored a 100-ball 100 in the first match of the bilateral series, which unfortunately came in a losing cause. However, his 51 off 71 in the fourth ODI came in India's victory, and he ended as the top scorer of the series with 309 runs from 5 games at an average of 77.25 and a strike rate of 84.65. He then scored 100 against Sri Lanka in 1998-99 Pepsi Cup, adding a record 236 runs for the second wicket with Ganguly, who also scored 100 in the match along with Rahul Dravid. Ironically, Dravid scored his century in fewer balls than Ganguly did in his 118-ball 116. Through these performances, Dravid made a name for himself in the ODI circuit as well. But his most important ODI knock came in the 2003 PV's Cup against New Zealand, when both openers Sachin and Sehwag scored centuries and laid a strong foundation for the team. The next few batsmen failed miserably, losing wickets cheaply. At one stage in the 45th over, two of the biggest Test legends Dravid and VVS Lakshman were at the creases. Finishers and audience were in a state of hopelessness how both these Test players, known for their defenses, would take the team to a decent total. But a mouth-shutting storm from Dravid struck the field. His 22-ball 50 powered the team to a strong total. But he made impacts not only at the striker's end, but also at the non-striker's end. With Dravid at the non-striker's end, even Sachin, Ganguly, Lakshman, or Sehwag, they all felt motivated and confident. But his patriotism to do anything for the national side is simply unbelievable. He didn't like opening, yet he opened. He didn't like wicket-keeping, yet he kept wickets. He didn't like hitting huge sixes, yet he did it under pressure when India was in danger. Whenever the team needed quick-fire runs, Dravid sacrificed his wickets for other batsmen to chase. A combination of patriotism, sacrifice and selflessness is this man. And the rest, as we know, is history. Top scorer of the 1999 World Cup despite playing less games, the first player to hit a century against every Test-playing team, most delivered faced by a batsman, which is 31,258. He scored more runs in tough and unadapted batting conditions and in overseas tests that led to wins abroad, a phenomenon that till then had been pretty rare in Indian cricket. He also made people believe in miracles when on the second Test against Australia at Eden Gardens in 2001, which is still regarded as one of the best partnerships in Indian Test cricket. After winning the toss and electing to bat, Australia had posted a mammoth total of 445 in the first innings, courtesy of brilliant ton from skipper Steve Waugh. In response, with Aussie pacers breathing fire, India were bundled out for 171, trailing by 274 runs. During the follow-on, the duo notched up one of the best partnerships as they faced full 90 overs, scoring 335 runs without being separated, taking India to a huge total of 657 for 7 in a game India won by 171 runs. 11 Man of the Match awards, 5 of them in overseas wins, including unforgettable performances around the world at Headingley, Adelaide, Rawalpindi, and Kingston. Most man of the match awards by an Indian. Apart from heaping mountains of runs in drawn tests overseas, he averages more than 75 in those matches, scoring a century in both innings of a test twice and becoming the third Indian to do so. Being the only batsman to have scored more than 10,000 runs at number 3 before Kohli joined the list, playing an average of 123 balls before each dismissal, which is the second highest for players who have played a minimum of 10,000 balls. When Dravid was at the crease, he has witnessed the team score 32,039 runs. Given that the entire Indian team scored 89,668 runs, it means 35.6% of the total runs that India made in tests involving Dravid were scored with him at the crease. The corresponding percentage for Sachin is 29.9, and 32.6 for Kallis. It is also the highest partnership runs scored by any batsman ever. Apart from runs, Dravid is also the only batsman to be involved in more than 700 partnerships and has also been involved in more century stands than any other batsman, which is 88. Dravid is also the only batsman to have 10 or more century stands with 4 others, whereas no one else has even managed 3. He also bags the most test match catches, 210, with his unbelievable catches at first short leg and then slip. Ganguly is regarded as India's best captain with 21 test wins. In these 21 matches, Dravid has piled up an astonishing 2,571 runs at a record average of 102.84. These 21 matches had 900s, including 3 double hundreds. He was at the other end when Lakshman became the highest Indian scorer in 2001 when he scored 280. He was at the other end when Sehwag and Dravid were involved in a 410-run partnership in Lahore in 2006. He was also at the other end when Sehwag scored 293 runs against SL in 2009. He was at the other end when Sehwag bettered his own record and scored 319 runs against South Africa. It is not a mere coincidence that the top 4 of 5 scores by Indian batsmen have come when Rahul Dravid was at the other end. Try to take his wicket in the first 15 minutes. If you can't, then only try to take the remaining wickets. Said by legendary bowler Steve Waugh. After these many records, Dravid ended his test and domestic career on March 9, 2012. He played his last ODI innings against England at Sophia Gardens, Cardiff, on September 16, 2011, scoring a crucial 69 before being bowled by Graham Swan, and his last limited overs international match was his debut T20I match in which he had hit 3 consecutive sixes. But even after his retirement, he still played for the nation. Confused, right? Well, he became the head and batting coach for the Indian under-19 team in a mission to discover raw talents across the nation, and even coached the Indian team that stormed to the 2018 ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup in New Zealand. Apart from that, he was the man behind several emerging cricketers today who have proved themselves in the international, national or domestic arena. There is absolute unanimity in Indian cricket fraternity that the presence of Dravid as coach of the under-19 team has been the main guiding force behind the Indian Colts' journey towards becoming champions for the 4th time. Indeed, there was the unmistakable stamp of Dravid on the team, both collectively and individually. He was so selfless that he gave up a high-paying lucrative contract with Delhi Daredevils to take up the job of the coach of the under-19 side. Because, for him, the nation mattered more than money. But is he passionate only for his country? Well, he isn't. The India U19 team was up against the Canada U19 team in a warm-up match being played before the 2016 Under-19 World Cup at Dhaka. A century each from Ishan Kishan and Ricky Bowie and a 50 each from Rishabh Pant and Mahipal Lamur took the Indian score to 485, leaving Canada a mammoth target of 486 runs. After bundling out Canada for 114, the Indians registered a decisive 372-run victory over the Canadians. Though the Indian team was celebrating his huge victory, Rahul Dravid went to the Canadian dressing room to console them, saying that they did not lose the game because they were less skilled than the Indian team, but because they came from a completely different condition. Dravid also advised the team to not get disheartened and give a huge comeback. He then had a conversation with the Canadian team where he took questions and gave some answers, providing a few tips at the end. In another incident in 2003, Gwyn Jones, the chief executive of the Scottish Cricket Union, was keen to hire an Indian cricketer to play for Scottish Saltires since he believed that this sport could bring different ethnic populations together. Though the player in his mind was Sachin, the Indian coach, then namely John Wright, suggested Dravid's name, mentioning Dravid to be the one person who could do things. So, Gwyn Jones hired Rahul Dravid for the Scottish Saltires to promote cricket in Scotland, and Rahul Dravid proved his mettle with a terrific performance which inspired several Scottish kids to take up cricket. Similarly, there have been several instances to prove his humility. He took a pay cut so rest of the under-19 support staff are paid equally. He did not take any advantage of his celebrity status and stood in a queue for like any other parent while attending an exhibition. When one of his fans was terminally ill and wanted to meet him, Dravid couldn't do that due to his busy schedule. But that doesn't mean he ignored the fan. Rahul Dravid chatted with him on Skype and even apologized for not coming in person. When he was asked if he could mentor blind cricketers, his reply was epic. "What these blind cricketers do is much bigger than I could do. In fact, I think it's me who will require some mentoring from the visually challenged cricketers." When Bangalore University wanted to confer him an honorary doctorate degree and change his title to Dr. Rahul Dravid, Dravid declined it, saying that he had done nothing to earn it and preferred to obtain one through his own study. Once when group of people traveled thousands of kilometers just to meet their cricket idol, they got to know that he had lost his father the day before and planned to return home disappointed. But to their surprise, they were greeted by Dravid, who also agreed to take pictures with them as they had come from so far. Having contributed immensely to Indian cricket, he decided to take things a step forward and help the country perform better at a platform like the Olympic Games by joining Go Sports Foundation to guide Olympians and Paralympians. Such a simple man and no airs of being a legend. Dravid is a wall indeed, made with bricks of perseverance, kindness, patriotism and humility. You wouldn't have seen his celebrations for scoring centuries much, because he plays for the team. But one of his celebration is my personal favorite, innings of the wall. You know all these big names of cricket. Sachin Tendulkar, Ricky Ponting, Brian Lara, Jack Callis, Sunil Gavaskar, Mike Hussey, Adon Gilchrist, A.B. de Villiers, Virat Kohli, Matthew Hayden, Javed Miandid, Virender Sehwag, Sanat Jayasuriya and several others. None of them have scored a test century at the Mecca and the home of cricket, the Lords at London. And the stadium itself holds an honours board displaying the list of centurions at the stadium. On July 25, 2011, 15 years after Rahul Dravid fell just 5 runs short of a century at Lords on his test debut, Rahul Dravid got another chance to script his name on the board of this iconic venue. On that day, he reminded world cricket that the Lords Honours Board had all these years been a poorer one because his name was missing from it, with a sublime century remaining unbeaten at 103. That was when he raised his bat and his helmet, showing the national jersey shining. Looking into his personal life, he married someone as patriotic as him, an Air Force wing commander named Vijeta, and today is a father to 2 children, Sumit and Anvay Dravid, with the former churning big runs in school cricket. Boys like him for his cricket skills, girls like him for his handsomeness. But legends like him for his attitude, for his power to stop balls that zip past 140 km an hour. While others use the pace of the ball to hit shots, Dravid stops with a solid defense. That is why he is called the Wall. Records of cricketers can be broken, highest scores can be broken, numbers can be broken, as you can say any number larger than the number someone else says. Anything can be broken, but there can't be any dent or crack on this wall. Happy birthday to the wall of cricket, Rahul Dravid. What we can learn from his life is that no matter how great you are, never forget where you came from. With this thought, I would love to end today's video. I will see you in another video. Till then, goodbye.